Our science topic is water today, and this won't be the only day we talk about water. Water is essential to life. You could actually live a lot longer without eating than you could without having water, having liquid. Our bodies need it. In fact, most of your body is water, about 3/4 of it. 3 out of 4 parts, or 75%. Way over half of your body is made up of water. And here's the interesting thing. We can't make water. We can use water, but all of the water that there is ever going to be on Earth is there already. And the water just keeps moving around the Earth. We use the water in a number of ways, and then somebody else uses it later. It gets used over and over and over. Now, most of the world's water is actually in the oceans and is now salt water. And because it is salty water in the ocean, we can't drink it. It has become a home for many, many animals and plants. But the drinkable water is actually a very, very small portion of the water that exists in the world. So in the middle of your National Geographic magazine, after the sea turtle article, is just a 2-page short article about waterways. I'm going to read it and we're going to talk about it a little bit, and then I do have an assignment for you today. Waterways. Earth's water is always on the move. It travels from the oceans to the sky. It falls from clouds. It flows from streams and rivers into lakes and even the oceans. Water's journey goes from earth to sky and back again. This is the water cycle. During this cycle, every drop of water is used, reused, and used again. Just think. The water now on earth is all the water we will ever have. There is no more, so it's up to all of us to help take care of it. Now, this picture, and I can't get all of it on my screen at once, is a picture of the water cycle. So, for example, kind of at the edge here, they're showing you a body of water. Now, it could be a lake. It could be the ocean, okay? It's a body of water, has some depth to it. Now, that water sits there. And when the sun comes out and warms up the surface of the water, that heat from the sun causes water on Earth's surface to do what is called evaporate. So some of the water on the surface will actually turn into an invisible gas that you can't see, and it will rise up into the air. It goes up into the air, and it goes up, 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 up until those invisible water droplets collect, they cool down, and they come back to liquid water again, and that's where we get clouds. Clouds are water droplets hanging in the sky. They're not made of cotton. You can't go jumping around on a cloud like sometimes the cartoons show us, but they're actually, clouds are water droplets. And so those clouds are above the earth, and the wind is moving those clouds around the earth, okay? And then at times when the clouds get heavy enough, a storm will brew, and those fluffy clouds may suddenly look gray and dark, and precipitation, which is water or could be snow or sleet or hail, falls from the clouds to the earth. And that is how we get rain. That is how we get snow. It depends on the temperature. If it's cold enough, what falls from the clouds are snowflakes, not droplets of rain. So it depends on the time of year and the temperature, but that falls to earth. Now, that water, when it comes back to earth, is going to travel downward, right? If it falls on a mountain, it's going to run down the mountain, which is why mountains have a lot of creeks and rivers in the low spots, because all of the water runs down. Melted snow from the mountaintops, for example, or anywhere where snow is melting, runs to the low spots. So melted snow and rainwater flow into streams, rivers, and then those rivers will empty into lakes, or they may empty into the ocean, and some of the water goes under the ground. There is actually a lot of water underground. Now, at your house, you are, I'm sure, I would assume, able to turn on a faucet and get water. You run water to wash dishes, to take a shower, to brush your teeth. We do a number of things with water. That water, if you live out of the village, we have a well at our house that goes way down in the ground, and we have an electrical pump that pumps water up through a pipe, and it pumps it up to the surface where it runs through a pipe into our house. We use groundwater, water from our water well goes way hundreds of feet. It's over 200 feet deep, our well. Not all wells are that deep, but ours is, and it pumps the water way up to our house so that it's usable. We use groundwater at our house, and it appears to be safe. Hopefully there aren't any dangerous chemicals or anything in it, because we do use it to drink and to cook with and to do our washing and our showers and things with. And then, of course, we use the water, and what do we as people do? We flush the water down the toilet, it goes down the drain, it goes out of the house, or it goes into a holding tank, it goes into our septic system, and it eventually ends up back on the earth again. And so this happens over and over and over again. It is called the water cycle. You can actually check out what it means to evaporate if you put some water in a cup. Don't fill the cup all the way up necessarily, but fill it half or 3/4 full. And then take like a plastic cup that you can take a marker and draw a line on the cup at the top of the water level, or fill the water to that level. Then cover that cup with a piece of saran wrap, or it could be tin foil if it had to be. Saran wrap might work better because you can see what's going to happen. And then set that cup of water, seal it as best you can so no air is getting in or out of that cup. And then set it in a window that gets sunlight, that gets warmed by the sun, and watch that cup for about a week. Watch and see what happens. Watch and see if you see any of the water collecting on top of that plastic on top in little droplets, and then it'll drop back down. You also could put a cup of water and leave it open with that same mark. And actually, it would work better with that mark if you left it open to see how fast the water evaporates. Don't drink any water out of that cup. Don't pour any anywhere, but just watch it and watch that water level move down. Because what'll happen is that water will slowly turn into gas droplets that go evaporate away. And eventually, if you left that water there enough, if it was open on top, you are going to see the water be gone. If you put water on a stove in a pan and you turn the burner on, of course with an adult supervising you, and you heat up that water, just like when the sun heats up water on the surface, if you turn a lot of heat onto that pan and that water gets hot and starts bubbling, you'll see steam above that pan. That water is evaporating, and it's changing from a liquid into a gas, and it's going up, up, up into the air, and eventually you can't see it anymore. Okay, that is evaporation. That is liquid water changing to a gas. And you don't see it happening. You don't see steam usually rising up from a lake. Now, in the morning, sometimes you might see if the water is warm and it's cold air in the morning, you might notice some it looks kind of like fog over the lake, and it could be some steam coming up. Hot tubs, you can see steam rising out of. If it's an outdoor hot tub, you might see the steam kind of coming out into the cold air. So you're seeing water cycling from liquid to gas, and then it goes up and forms those clouds and eventually falls to earth again. But my question to you today is, what are your uses for water? Just write some sentences down for me and tuck that into your envelope. Write a paragraph, a handful of sentences about how important water is to you and your family. What are some things that you absolutely need that water for? And just stop and think about how many places in your life, in your house, at school, in everyday life, that water is essential. It's necessary. Think about that and write that down for me. That is your science assignment for the day. So you can look this over, have this information out. It'll help you with some of these words. You might want to include words like evaporate, precipitation, and water cycle. So it's an interesting topic. Thanks for tuning in.